Hello there. On Setanta Sports, we've come a long way in a short space of time, but now the excitement is mounting like never before. It's the countdown to the fight that's got the whole world talking. In all, a great matchup to crown a great week for us here on Setanta Sports as the title race reaches a climax in England and Scotland and the Indian Premier League makes its grand opening. You are in the best place with Setanta to see it all. Memorable events they are in their own right, but maybe the meeting of Joe Calzaghe and Bernard Hopkins is the one that will resonate most for years to come. Steve Bunce will be part of our team in the build-up for the rest of the week, of course, and with us on Fight Night 2 on Saturday night. I don't know about you, Steve, but actually I'm still pinching myself that this is going to happen.
It's one of those fights, Paul, that you sit around with some friends, you're either having a coffee, you're having a beer, or you're just relaxing, and you're coming up with fights you want to see. You've been dreaming about it, you've been creating it for 6 years, even 10 years, you've been thinking about this fight. Certainly the last 3 or 4 years. And you know what you say after about 10 minutes? You say, it will never happen. Forget it. This is a history fight. The stats tell you it's a history fight. Their records tell you it's a history fight. The fact that it is absolutely attracting attention from all over the world tells you we are onto something here that you will remember and talk about 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, 20 years, the real test of boxing time.
Is this because of what they have achieved through their careers to date?
Absolutely. Hopkins has made 20 defences during a 10-year reign. Never ducked anybody. Did it his way. Generally did it his way. Calzaghe, 11 years at the top as a world champion. 21 defences, and in the last 2 years turned it round, turned it on its head, stepped above, no disrespect to Ricky Hatton, no disrespect to Lennox Lewis, stepped above all of our great fighters from the last 2 decades with a couple of fights in the last 2 years. Jeff Lacey, unbeaten, unbeatable, American Idol, destroyed. Mikkel Kessler, unbeaten, Danish Idol, European Idol, 50,000 people in attendance, destroyed. Not beaten, destroyed.
Doesn't need a title itself then, does it?
Doesn't need a title. It's been given the ring belt. That's the famous magazine. It's nearly 100 years old. Hopkins will have that belt. It doesn't need a title. It doesn't need a weight. You notice that with this fight, Paul. It's not light heavyweight clash. It's not blah, blah, blah. It's just Hopkins, Calzaghe, or Calzaghe Hopkins, depending on where you come from.
Of course, the hard work was done for Joe Calzaghe long before he left for Las Vegas. Since he's arrived there, he has been the centre of attention wherever he's gone. And he seems to be enjoying most of it. And our own Rob Walker and Richie Woodall kept a close eye on him as he went through his paces for the cameras.
Richie, he looks fast, he looks comfortable. Do you think that's his natural weight at light heavy, maybe?
Yeah, I think he's more suited to light heavy, to be quite honest, because, you know, it's no secret, he walks around about 14 stone, so having to make the super middleweight at 12 stone is difficult. Here at 12.7, he looks in superb condition, I have to say, and he looks comfortable at the weight.
But what about all this furore going on around him? He's not going to be used to this kind of thing, and he doesn't like being in the spotlight. How's he going to cope with that, and how dangerous are these kind of antics this week for him?
Well, there's no doubt about it. He's got to cope with it, Rob, to be quite honest with you. He won't have seen this type of thing before, only in fights that he hasn't been involved in. So this is the first time for him to walk into a casino and see a billboard that must be 60 or 70 foot high by 30 foot, you know, with your name there. That is a big distraction in my opinion, but he's got to keep his head down, he's got to keep focused. And this is good, but this is, you know, this is part, he knows that this is part of it. He will have been told this is part of the build-up to the fight. He's got to get it done, and he's just got to stay focused.
How difficult a job has he got to avoid getting drawn into a brawl by Bernard Hopkins? Because we know sometimes Hopkins wins ugly. Is being busy going to be enough for Calzaghe?
I think so. I think Hopkins at the end of the day is the ultimate spoiler. You know, he's the king at that. But Joe has got to remain focused in what he's doing in terms of his boxing style, his boxing technique. For me, Joe Calzaghe wins this fight if he keeps it mid and long range. Yes, he's going to have to fight on the inside now and again, but that's why he's a great all-rounder, Calzaghe. If he fights on the inside as well as he does at mid and long range, he wins the fight.
Is this the crowning moment in his career for you?
This is the defining fight for me, yeah, it is, because it's obviously over in America. All American fight fans, they know that if you're going to be someone in boxing, you've got to do it on American soil. Calzaghe has done it everywhere else, especially in Britain, obviously, but here in America now, he's got to beat one of the best pound for pound in the world.
Thanks, Richie.
Cheers.
Of course, one of the intriguing things about this, Steve, you never really know how the best of ours are going to travel once they're going over across the Atlantic. That's your first look at Joe Calzaghe this week. What are your impressions?
That's the first look at him, but I've spoken to people that have been close to him during the last 10 days since he arrived there. He's staying in a mansion away from the strip, away from the lights, away from the coins, and away from the fans. It's fantastic to have the fans. It's fantastic to have 5,000 or 10,000 Brits there, but you need some privacy. And there's one thing about Joe, and photographers tell you this. Photographers look through a camera. They never lie. The camera never lies. And they say that Joe becomes a different person when it's lights, camera, action. And I actually think that he's got a tremendous ego. That's why he's the fighter he is, Paul.
This is only the start of the week, though, and there are going to be some key moments over the next 2 or 3 days before the time of the fight itself. We know that he relished the opportunity of following Ricky Hatton when it was Hatton's turn before Christmas. But it's different now, isn't it?
It's different. What he saw when he took a step back at Hatton, you know, he waved to the 50 or 10,000 fans, but he took a step back. Now he's the one in the spotlight. He's got his 2 sons by his side, Joe and young Connor. They're by his side. They're carrying his bags.
Is that a good idea?
Well, I'm not sure it's a good idea, but Joe likes it. Joe likes them at ringside. Joe likes them when he's sparring. Joe likes them when he's fighting. They get straight up in the ring, and they've been getting up in the ring for 10 or 11 years, so it's not suddenly something that they've started to do. And what Joe will have to deal with in the next 24 hours is the first head-to-head with Hopkins for this fight. They met briefly last December. They met in February. That was kind of tame. You remember we talked about that. They come head to head there.
Oh, they were saving themselves for this week. No doubt at all about
Hopkins said, "Why should I get angry now?
Yes.
No mind games now. No need." That's gonna come soon in the next 24 hours, and that's when we're gonna see. We're gonna see if Joe's knees are knocking. That's the key.
Calzaghe against Hopkins is coming on Setanta Sports, exclusively live for you. Hopkins. Next, we'll hear from a man who is already living up to his ruthless reputation. See you again after the break. Las Vegas. We know the scenes by now, don't we? The destination, though, for thousands of Joe Calzaghe fans in the next couple of days. What an experience, and what a fight looming. Calzaghe versus Hopkins in Las Vegas, exclusively live on Setanta Sports. And Bernard Hopkins is ready, as Rob Walker found out.
Bernard, you've been in and around big fights your whole career. Is there anything different in the lead up to this one for you?
The Brits are here, that's it.
That's it?
Well, I've been doing it for 20 years. I've seen everything. I heard all the threats. I've been getting threatened for the last 20 years of my career. I mean, what is this, a threat that I'm supposed to, like what, get scared? It's too late in the game. I'm too bullheaded and too ahead of the game to be scared by threats now. I've been pro since 1988, made 21 middleweight defenses, fought all over the world, unlike Joe and other people's country. Beat a light heavyweight that everybody didn't give me a chance. I was 5-1 underdog, then beat Winky Wright. I mean, don't you know that I've been threatened by every living boxer that's been living that's in my weight class? So, I mean, what else is new? I even guys bring out rocking chairs. And now they're sitting in those rocking chairs. So the thing that's different is we got the Brits here. They got the Brits here, and I never beat up on a Brit before. Seriously, look at my record. I never beat up on the Brits. I've been beating up on my own. Now I get to kick somebody else's ass from over the pond. It's great. Great motivation.
Does Joe Calzaghe...
It's like going in the suburbs and beating them up over there from the ghetto.
Does Joe...
You didn't live in the suburbs.
Does Joe Calzaghe bring anything that you haven't experienced before?
The Britain crowd.
Are you looking forward to taking them on as well?
No. I can't fight 10, 15,000 days. It's not my job. I'm looking for them to motivate me. I'm looking for them to motivate me like Tito's fans in New York City, 20,000 motivated Bernard Hopkins when they kept saying, Tito, Tito. See, because at the Wild, they get to seeing what's in front of their face and they'll start saying, be hop, be hop.
Why do you...
I was at the Ricky Hatton fight when he fought Oscar. And those cheers went from a silent, funeral type of setting. So I had the experience to see that they are loyal fans to their athletes, but they do realize what takes place in front of them is not good.
Bernard, you've said in the past that you've won fights before you've even entered the ring. Have you got any tactics this week to try and get inside Joe Calzaghe's head? Do you think you need to do that at all?
Do I have any tactics? or any plan that you want me to tell you now? Do I look that stupid? You got to show up for that, buddy. You got to show up to see.